Today we're taking a look at the brand new 2025 Lift X 29.5 from Mathews Archery. Welcome back to Mike's Archery, and today we have got the brand new 2025 Lift X. And we've got the 29.5 here from Mathews. We're going to run through this new bow. It's very similar to last year's Lift. It is a slight change from last year with some upgrades as far as features, but we'll get into that towards the end. So as we start off here with the specs on the 29.5, we've got the speed rating coming in at 348 feet per second, and that is with an 80% mod. From there, we've got an axle-to-axle of obviously 29.5, giving it an overall cam-to-cam length of 35.5 inches. Now the brace height is 6 inches, and the weight is still 3.99. We took it out of the box just to check everything again for this year. Got 4.2 out of the box, pulled the dampeners, got it down to 4 pounds even, so right on spec from what Mathews is advertising. Now from there, draw length adjustment is the same as last year, going from 24.5 out to 30 inches on the 29.5, fitting most of you guys in the market. The other thing that stayed the same is the modules for this year, so you're still going to be able to adjust this bow from 55 out to 80 pounds with that switch weight technology. It is a SwitchWeight-X if you're looking for those mods on the website, but you got that wider draw weight range from 55 out to 80, and of course you can pick that in an 80 or an 85% let off, all adjustable on one bow with those modules. Now, as we mentioned, not a lot of changes from the Lift to the Lift X. So as we look at these features, we've got all the standard features. If you own a Lift, nothing really has changed from the basic stuff as far as your integrated rest, bridge lock sights, bridge lock stabilizers, again, the cams and that switch weight technology. All of that has stayed the same. Roller guards, everything pretty much spot on what it was. Now, as far as a few changes that did take place, there is a new set of limbs. Obviously, Mathews had a few issues last year, not as blown out as most people wanted to make it. They acknowledged that there was an issue there with some materials, got that fixed, taken care of. For this year, we've got the new ARC7 Limbs, and that's going to be the new limb configuration. Looks the same as what it did on the original Lift. It's just a new design to accommodate the new tuning system. Now, as we get into this new tuning system, that is the major change for the Lift X. You're going to notice it on the top and bottom limb. There's going to be a little window called the limb shift, and that is going to allow you to shift that limb left to right on the axle, and that is where you're going to get your paper tune and to be able to take that tear out, whether you need it to go left or right. It looks very similar to what it was before, but you're going to pull that screw out. Inside there is a threaded axle that you're able to move back and forth. The cam is slave to that left limb, never moves, stays the same, does away with the top hat system. It's just a tapered down axle that you're able to thread back and forth on a micro screw inside of those brackets on the outside edge of the limbs. From what we've played with it, we pulled the axle out of there. If you get to playing with your bow, you'll see it, but you can, if you got to press anyway, you're able to get in there, pull that axle out to change strings and cables like you always did, but the axle sits in there, holds the cam to the left-hand side, and then that limb just slides back and forth on that axle, allowing you to get a perfect tear or tune. No more top hats in the top or bottom of the limbs, just shifting that limb back and forth to get your tune. Now, from there, the other big change that you're going to notice is the grip system. Always had the Engage grip system for the last several years. That changed slightly. It's still an Engage, but it is a new Engage system with that grip, and that's what's going to come standard on all bows from the factory, is the new Engage. It's a little harder plastic. You'll notice it's two-tone. It's got a little grip to the back edge of it, so it just sits in your hand and holds nicely. But from there, you're able to change out the grips. They've got a whole grip system now, which we'll look into in depth in probably another video by itself. But you're able to change these out to the contour or the tapered grip, depending on which grip feels best to you. We've been no secret about it. The Engage grip was not our favorite grip over the years, but it's what you had. You can still get side plates for it as well. But if you're looking for a slimmer, better grip, better feel to your hand, sits up in the throat of your hand a little better, then take a look at the contour or the taper. I think it's going to be a nice upgrade, and those are going to retrofit backwards to anything that had an Engaged grip on it in the last several years. Double check me, but I think it goes all the way back to the vertex and forward. So you're going to be able to mount this if you've got last year's lift or a phase 4 or something prior to that. You can certainly upgrade your engage grip to one of these new contour or tapered grips. Now, also looking at the grip, the other slight change in the riser for this year is it has milled out underneath the thumb right there. So in the past, they were getting a little bit of rub on the riser, and if you look at the new ones, there's a little bit of milled out section there just to get that rub off your finger. As you get up into the throat of that grip, it's just going to give you a more comfortable feel and do away with where it was rubbing on your hand at the top. But other than that, the riser has stayed pretty much the same. Now, as we look at the colors for this year, there is a little bit of a change. They've got a new color in a solid. Now, you've still got your black, ambush, and earth that they've had the last couple of years. The new color is the shale, which is a gray color. And of course, you've got your fade to black options as well, available in that ambush, earth, and also the shale. Now, as you switch over to the camo side of things, they've cleaned up a little bit of camo and added one new one. So you're still able to get this bow in mossy oak bottomlands, as well as subalpine, First Light Spectre, and then the new camo for this year from Mathews is QU Verde. Obviously an old pattern that's been around for several years, I think all the way back to 2016, but QU Verde is Mathews' new camo color for this year, and obviously it looks great on their bows as well. Now, as we look at the retail price for the Lift X 29.5, it did go up slightly from last year to $12.59. It's not quite the price increase that we've seen from everyone else, but it is a slight price increase, which is no surprise in this economy. So $1,259 is where you're going to see the 29.5. Now from here, we're going to step back to the lane, shoot this bow over the chronograph. We don't expect speeds to change much from what we saw last year. It's not really a new design of the cam. It's just a new design of how the cam is adjusted to be able to tune. So we'll shoot this again just to see what kind of numbers we get out of it, as well as a noise rating, and give you an overall performance and feel out of the new 29.5. As usual, we'll shoot this bow on 29-inch draw length, 70 pounds, and 85% let off. All right, so we have stepped back here to the lane, and we have got the 29.5 Lift X to shoot over the chronograph here, give you a breakdown. As we've already mentioned, we're not expecting to see anything really different as far as speeds and things from what we saw out of the Lift from last year, but we wanted to give you a breakdown of those numbers as we always do. So let's shoot this bow over the chronograph. As usual, 29-inch draw length, 70 pounds, and an 85% let off. All right, so as we look at the speeds coming in on the 29.5, at 350 grains, we've got 329 feet per second. As we go to a 400 grain arrow, we've got 311 feet per second. With a 450 grain arrow, we drop down to 292. And with a 500 grain arrow, we're still at 279. So really great speeds out of the Lift X, exactly where we expected it to be. I didn't go back and check last year's video just to see what numbers we had posted with a Lift, but I'm sure they're within a couple feet of each other. Now, as we take a look at the decibel reading on this bow, we've got it at 88.1 decibels. Again, a nice, quiet hunting bow, exactly what we expect to see out of Mathews. Always a quiet platform, dead in your hand as always. Now, as we look at the other features from the draw cycle to the back wall as well as the valley, feels exactly the same as last year. You've still got a little bit of stiffness coming through that draw cycle, more so than we saw out of the phase 4. And then, of course, it's got a shallow valley, but a rock-hard back wall. So if you're the guy that wants to relax in that shot, the Lift may not be for you because the valley is pretty shallow, and this bow does want to go a little bit at full draw. Now from there, dead in the hand as we always expect out of Mathews, but the big change that we have liked to talk about, and we did a little bit up front, is this new grip system. So the new Bond grip system from the factory, all your bows are going to come with the new Engage grip, slightly different from the original, with a two-tone look, a little rubberized feel back here with some texture. But again, not our favorite grip, but when we look at the new contour and taper grip, it changes the whole feel and set of this bow. So if you're looking to change whatever grip you've had on there from the Engage that goes all the way back to the Vertex, then you're able to swap out that Engage grip to one of these new contour or taper grips. It completely changes how this bow sits in your hand, how it feels at full draw, how it takes some of the torquiness out of this bow that we've seen over the years with the engaged grip. I think it's a great move for Mathews. These new grips are going to make these bows shoot great. And if you certainly have one of the older bows, I would recommend upgrading to one of the new grips. And we're going to try to keep all those color options on the website available to you. Now, as far as the tuning system, obviously the new limb shift technology, that is a nice upgrade, especially for us here at the shop. When you come in to get a new bow, it's going to make tuning this bow, getting to shoot a perfect bullet hole through the paper for you much easier. If you're the guy at home that wants to tinker with your stuff, change out errors from time to time, and you want to be able to paper tune at home, it's going to make it a whole lot nicer for you at home to be able to adjust this bow without a press. So overall, the upgraded features that Mathews has stepped up and changed on the new Lift X are definitely major improvements that needed to be made to bring Mathews even further ahead in the top ranked bow on the market. So if you're looking for a new Mathews and you want to try out one of these new Lift X's, stop into the shop, ask us to change out those grips so you can get a feel for that, and most certainly grab one of these new Mathews for 2025.